Well, now I know why this movie is called one of the most disturbing movies of all time. That's for sure. Hey guys, carrying another classic movie for you guys, and I know it's been a while since I've done a classic movie review. I've just been, like I said, there are just a lot of things on my plate, and I know I keep using that excuse. I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm serious when I say that. I mean, between classic movies, I'm also trying to finish Season 4 of Orange is the New Black. I'm trying to binge Seasons 1 and 2 of Power, because I want to review Season 3 for you guys when that comes out, so I'm trying to do that as well. And I'm also trying to do movie reviews and TV show reviews, and I just end up, having to get caught up with things and just, getting behind because of it. I can't really control that, but anyways, I'm going to try to do more, hopefully, now that I have some time. Hopefully, I'll be able to do more classic movie reviews. But anyways, guys, this movie I'm reviewing, I was not prepared for this movie, really. I mean, I definitely want to see it, but I still was not prepared for it. I want to see it for several reasons. One, because I genuinely heard it's a really great movie, and that if you like to dissect movies like I do and, do analysis and things like that, and I know some of my analyses are shit, I will definitely say that. In fact, I've watched some of them back, and I'm like, what the fuck was I talking about? But, I like to do that. But also because, like I said, I heard this is one of the most disturbing movies of all time. And I really want to see if it was that disturbing. And that movie is the 2009 psychological horror film Antichrist. Now, this movie is a movie that I don't think many of you have heard of. I don't think this is I'm sure a lot of you have heard about it, but if you, aren't a huge, film lover or someone that watches a lot of movies, then you probably haven't heard of this movie. And honestly, it's, if you haven't heard of this movie, I completely understand why. I completely understand. A lot of people, I think, just like to, just get this out of their radar and just kind of not talk about it because it's, called one of the most disturbing movies of all time. For me, like I said, I knew going into this pretty much everything that happened and pretty much all the disturbing events in this movie from, Watch Mojo and YouTube and things like that. You can just look it up on YouTube, disturbing movies. This is definitely going to be on that list, and I wanted to really see if it was that disturbing. But also, like I said, I heard there's a lot of really subtle things about this movie, and after watching it, how did I feel about Antichrist? Well, I'll definitely say it's one of the most disturbing movies I've seen, because it definitely is a very fucking disturbing movie, and this movie itself is just fucked up. I definitely will say that. But I also really love this movie. I think this movie really is fantastic. I think there are just some really great deeper themes in this movie. It's not perfect. I definitely will say that. I don't think this is a perfect movie. There are some things that I don't fully understand that I'll get into. But let's get to the plot of Antichrist, which the plot of this movie, I think, is a lot simpler than you think. I think really this is a movie where it's kind of hard to say the plot, but I think the plot's really easy. Basically, you have this married couple who are only called he and she in this movie, which I think is honestly kind of genius that they're only called he and she. Basically, one night when they're having sex, in the shower, basically, their baby boy, their young child, Nick, he ends up, basically falling out of this window, and because his parents weren't there, he ends up falling out to his death, and the rest of the movie is, after this has happened, they both are very grief-stricken, they're trying to repair their marriage, and we see Willem Dafoe's character. He tries to help out, his wife, who obviously is very grief-stricken over what happened to her child, and he's trying to help her cope with, basically, what's going on, and basically, that's all I'm gonna say is them trying to repair their marriage. I'm not gonna say anything else, or else I'll spoil the movie, although I'm pretty sure, like I said, a lot of you probably know what happens in this movie. I don't really want to spoil it because of that. Well, that's basically a rough plot synopsis I can give you of this movie. Let's get into stuff I really did love about this movie, though, starting off with the cast, because that is by far one of the best things about this movie. Now, while most movies tend to have 4 to 6 main actors, and then I'd say, a few supporting players, this movie only has 2 characters, which I think, honestly, is a very good aesthetic choice. I really do love that. It's one of the best things about this movie is the fact that it only has 2 people to rely on throughout the entire movie, and I think both of these actors really just do a fantastic job, really embodying these roles, and really just showing that, one of the reasons I think they're called he and she is because it really could be anyone, and really this scenario could end up happening to anyone, and I really did love the way the movie showed that. William Dafoe, I thought, was absolutely fantastic in this movie. He really did a great job, and I think just really embodying the perfect idea of just what a grief-stricken husband would be like. You know, he's definitely deeply affected that his son is gone, but he's also a therapist who's trying to he takes it upon himself to basically devote his entire life to helping out his wife and just getting her over this tragedy, because she's deeply affected in this way that he can't really comprehend, and he's trying to figure out, you know, how he can fix it, and even if it's not really fixable, he's trying to fix it, and I think he just did a fantastic job. I really thought he just did a great job in this movie. A lot of his character is just, you know, trying to repair their marriage, but then the second half he becomes a lot more than that. You know, I think a lot of people say, oh, his character's just doing different therapy things, but I think he just did a really great job at being that therapist. He really was fantastic. I really did love his character overall, and he's also kind of the everyman in this movie. You know, he's the one that's kind of discovering what's going on, especially when you figure out eventually what's going on in this movie, which I will get into because it is pretty crazy what's going on. You know, like I said, the movie's pretty fucked up, but I think overall he really did a great job. He really was fantastic, and he is definitely one of the best things about this movie, but he's not the best thing about this movie. For me, the best thing about this movie is Charlotte Gainsbourg. She was incredible. Now, I know that she's in all three of Lars Von Trier's films, which this is the first Lars Von Trier film I've seen, which honestly I do think this should be the first one you watch, because it is the first in his Depression trilogy. I knew that definitely she's a big part of it, though. You know, every Lars Von Trier movie, he has her in a very substantial role, and this is probably, I haven't seen many Charlotte Gainsbourg performances, but this is definitely one of the best performances I've seen for her. She really is just incredible in this movie. I mean, she just portrayed this idea of a grief-stricken mother perfectly. I loved this character. You feel so bad for what she's going through. I mean, she's so deeply affected. She constantly thinks she's hearing her son. She feels like she's taking the blame for what happened. I mean, just everything that's going on. And you just really, really understand what they're going through. I mean, just think about, you know, someone's here for a little bit and then they're just gone. And it really just shows how things can go from really good to really tragic in just a second. And I think they showed that very well with her character. I really got into her character. She really just did a fantastic job, and she did a great job of being very subtle in the first act to being completely batshit in the second act, and I think she really just did a fantastic job with that. I absolutely loved what she did in this film. She really was one of the best parts of it, and their chemistry overall. This is a very broken couple, definitely. You definitely see that this is a very broken couple, and there isn't really a way to repair their marriage, but they're gonna try. You know, even if there isn't a way, they're gonna try to repair said marriage, and I really did like seeing that. I like that basically they're going to do whatever they can to try to fix this. They're going to try to turn things around, even if it's not possible, and I think overall they just did a great job. I really loved both of their characters, and they definitely carried the movie very well. I really thought it was very well done, and like I said, very relatable. These two people could be anyone. They're not really specific traits. They're kind of just, you know, he and she. They're two people who are going through the circumstance, and you kind of understand what they're going through, especially if you've, you know, lost someone. You really are going to relate to their characters, and that's something I definitely will say that I really did enjoy about this movie, and I think is one of the best parts is their chemistry, without a doubt. But Charlotte Gainsbourg, for me, in my opinion, I think she gave an Oscar-worthy type performance. I know that this movie, for me, I think is just too obscure to win an Oscar, but she really did a fantastic job, and I can really see why I think Lars Von Trier saw something in her, because she just does a really great job at portraying these really weird, not weird, but just really erratic characters that really, I think she just did a very good job with. I really loved her character overall, and I think, especially her, she really was fantastic in this movie. She really did a great job. And that's really all I can say for the acting, because like I said, there's only two people in this movie. It's only Charlotte Gainsbourg and, you know, Willem Dafoe, and I think they both do a great job. But the one thing I knew going into this movie is that it's going to be very fucked up, because it's Lars Von Trier. There are many weird directors out there. Lars Von Trier has his own kind of style, and honestly, I like it. I dig it. I definitely like his style. I think I was very into his style, and it's really one of those styles that just begs you to keep watching. Even though you won't know what's going on, there's something about this movie. It's very disturbing, but something about it is just beautiful, and you don't really know why, but there's some sort of, you know, type of beautiful style he does here, and I think he just does a really great job with that. And It's a very disturbing film. You can definitely see it has that tone, and many times I felt like I shouldn't be watching it. I'm really like sitting there and I'm like, should I be watching this? There are just so many times I said that during the movie, because it is one of those kind of movies where it feels like something you shouldn't be watching. And I really think that was Lars Von Trier's vision for this movie. In fact, if you were to go up to him, ask him what this movie's about, he's not going to tell you. He's not going to tell you what this movie's about, and I really respect that. I think this is one of those movies where he wants it to be your own interpretation. He wants you to come up with some sort of theory and tell him it's about, because I don't think he even knows what the movie's really about. I think that he's keenly aware of what he wanted to do, but the real theme, I think he definitely kind of has his own, thing too, and definitely he want us to have our own interpretation too, and I think really he did a great job with that. Really loved his directing. He really was fantastic, and he definitely was one of the best parts of this movie. Like I said, the directing really was fantastic here. The screenplay here was so good. I absolutely love the screenplay to this movie. Definitely, I really did love it. I think the dialogue here is very subtle, definitely. There's a lot of very subtle moments in this movie that's just very well done. There's so many great moments that just portray grief and what that can do to someone, and I think they showed that very well. And the conversations here, like I said, there's a lot of therapy stuff here, but it's just so interesting. The story that goes on, this is one of those movies where it goes into different parts like all Lars Von Trier movies do, and I think it's kind of cool the way he does that. We constantly will go to part 1, part 2, part 3, and each part is definitely different, and it gets significantly darker as it goes on, and the screenplay as well, I think, was just really great. Really loved it. The story here was very interesting, and that was something I definitely really did enjoy. But I am going to tell you guys, there are things in this movie I don't understand. I will tell you that right off the bat. And when I get to my analysis, I'll explain a little bit more, but just right now, I don't fully understand this movie. I mean, there's especially one thing, I just don't get it. I don't get it, and it did kind of ruin some of the movie for me. So at some points, I thought this was kind of style over substance, honestly. I felt like Lars Von Trier, he had some good ideas, definitely, and I think he definitely did a really good job directing. It's just some of his ideas, I don't really know how they fit into the rest of this movie, but I will say, I think this is one of those movies where I need to go back and rewatch it, and when I do rewatch it and I have a more clear interpretation, then I'm going to do that for you guys. But right now, I don't really know how to interpret some things that happen in this movie. A lot of it I do, but much of it I just don't really know how to interpret right now, and that's something that I think I'll get a better understanding of when I watch the movie second time. So I definitely will say that. The cinematography here, though, is absolutely gorgeous. Some of the best cinematography I've ever seen, personally. I absolutely love the cinematography. There's so many great things in this movie, especially having to do with grief. I mean, the way that these two characters, they're basically on the verge of insanity, really. I mean, what this has done to them has made them completely batshit and just completely off the walls. There's so many times where they will just fantasize about things, and I think it did a really great job at questioning what's reality, what's fantasy, and that's something I think the movie did really well, is a lot of times you'll be wondering, is that really happening, or is that just in their mind? And that's something that I thought was a really good choice, and I absolutely love that, because, yeah, when a tragedy happens, you don't want to believe it's real. You want to believe that someone is still there, and I think they did a really great job with that. I really love that, and just the different, images and things. You're not expecting this movie to get nearly as crazy as it does, and that's something I do really appreciate, is how crazy it did get, and the cinematography is one of the best things about this, and I really did love the cinematography, and even effects here. There's some great effects in this as well, and that's something else I really appreciated. I think cinematography really is one of the best parts here, and there's some parts of this movie that are in black and white. The prologue of this movie is in black and white, one of the best scenes in the movie by far. Absolutely love the prologue, but just every scene is just, I think, so well filmed and just so well done, and that's one of the best things here, is that the cinematography here really is just, it's, like I said, it's just some of the stuff that you're seeing, it's kind of disturbing and really definitely disgusting and it's definitely disturbing, but there's just something beautiful and gorgeous about it, and I think he just did a great job, and I think he did a really great job at just characterizing just a forest, and that's something I really loved, and what the woods symbolize, what the forest symbolizes. I absolutely love that, and one of the best choices in this movie by far. The score here. Now, the score is only played a couple times in this movie, but the score here really is fantastic. There's some great classical music in the beginning and at the end of this movie that I really love, but the score, when you hear it, it's very eerie, and it's kind of abrupt as well, and I really thought that was cool the way he did that. The score was very well done. The editing to this movie, like I said, this movie is cut very differently from other movies. It's different parts, and I think when they cut each part, it really was fantastic, because each part, it really makes you kind of, I'd say the part, it's kind of like watching a TV show where you have a cliffhanger and you know what's going to happen in the next episode. That's kind of what the parts are like in this movie, where they kind of give you an idea of what the next part is going to be like. And I thought it was really cool the way they did that. I really did appreciate that overall. And for me, that's one of the best parts of this movie, is the way they split into different parts. I really did appreciate. And that's something that I definitely really did enjoy. So overall, that's really what I'll say about Antichrist as far as the review goes. Like I said, this is not the easiest movie to review right now because I don't fully understand everything that's going on. I am going to give you guys analysis though, and like I said, as usual, if you guys don't know how I do these analysis and how I analyze movies and spoilers, I'm going to put a spoiler tag. I'm going to put a spoiler tag, and then when the spoiler tag goes away, then you guys can stick around, see my rating, things like that. But I'm going to get into the spoilers right now because I really do want to talk about everything out in this movie, things I understand, things I don't, and pretty much just open the floor to you guys. Like, if you guys want to say you are completely wrong, you have no idea what the fuck you're talking about, by all means do that, because there are some things that I think I'm completely wrong about. I'm going to say that right now. I think I'm completely wrong with them, and the only reason I'm stating these things that I'm about to state is because I just want to give you an interpretation. I want to give you my interpretation. I want to give you guys what I took away from the movie and just how I felt about it. So if something just doesn't make sense, then that's good, honestly, because it's something I need to rewatch, and it's something I need to dissect more, and I definitely do want to check out this movie a second time. I don't know when, but I definitely will watch it a second time to further understand it, and just give myself a better analysis and a better understanding of the film once I watch it a second time. But anyways, guys, let's get into spoilers. I think the first thing that I really want to talk about, because there really is a lot to talk about in this movie, but there's also not a lot to talk about, because when you get to spoilers, like I said, this is a spoiler/analysis. There's a lot to talk about in terms of what I really want to talk about and what I don't want to talk about. Now, as far as spoilers goes, I mean, like I said, I knew pretty much everything that was going to happen in this movie, all the spoilers, such as the jerking, her jerking him off and blood coming out. I knew that was going to happen. The bolts in the leg, I've seen, I've heard that happen before. Even her cutting her clitoris, I saw that before. All that stuff I expected to happen. That's all stuff that I saw, previously. I heard about it. I think it's just, when you watch this movie as a whole, you don't expect it to be as nearly disturbing as it is. And even something I do like is that they didn't show everything on camera. Some things they did not show, and I think it's one of the best things about it is that the movie really does go with the idea that what you picture in your mind is more scarier than anything you'll see on screen, because really it is. I mean, when you have a dream, it just sometimes feels so real, and that's something I think the movie did really well, especially when the characters are hallucinating, like chaos reigns and things like that. One of the best parts of this movie is when he's imagining that fox. I thought that was really well done, and that's something I really loved. Now, for me, the one thing that I will say about this movie, like I said, the only reason I don't think it's an absolute masterpiece is because of the supernatural stuff going on here. That whole aspect of the movie, I don't understand. I'm going to say that right now. I don't understand what the fuck is going on there. I mean, she's a witch apparently, and she's suddenly, he's just like addicted to sex and everything. She wants sex like now. She wants to hurt him, she wants to crush his balls with like a weight or some shit. I honestly, that whole part of this movie, I'm still scratching my head at. And again, I feel like that's intentional. I feel like that was an intentional choice that Lars Von Trier definitely wanted, but it is going to lower the movie for me, because that's something that I just felt was very style over substance. And also because I think the setup here of her grieving over the child and him giving her all this therapy was something that I really loved. I thought that was definitely really well done. I love the way that she was grieving over what was going on, everything that happened there. That was something I really enjoyed, and I really loved that. Overall, I just really loved the way that all turned out. Really thought that was very well handled. But mainly because of the fact, but mainly because of the fact that, like I said, because of how well that was done, I thought the rest of the movie, when it started to get in those weird batshit directions and started all this supernatural stuff, it just kind of lost me. I will say that. The movie did lose me a little bit there. And maybe when I rewatch it, I'll understand it more, but just right now, that part of the movie, I don't really understand. Now, I do realize a lot of the things going on here, like him killing her at the end of the movie, him deciding to strangle her. I think that's really symbolizing that their marriage is over. These two can never be together again. These two are not compatible for each other, and they've gone in such different directions, him going in this therapy route and her going down the supernatural road, and him trying to do things scientifically while she's doing things magically, and he clearly doesn't fully understand the magic and what's happening to her and everything, that they just can't be together. That's how I kind of interpreted that part of the movie, and that's something that, again, I don't think I'm 100% right about, but that's something I thought was very well handled. The woods in this movie. What do I think the woods really symbolize? The woods, I think, symbolize, like I said, that this kind of like the breaking apart of their marriage and the different directions they're hanging. I mean, just her putting a bolt in his leg and him having to sit there and her just walking out. It's kind of just like she's drifting off. She's not really thinking about him in the way she used to. She doesn't think of him as someone that she loves. She thinks of him more as someone that she hates. And that's very much what grief can do to someone. A lot of times when you are upset about something, we take our anger out on the ones we love the most. And I think that's really what the movie's trying to show. She's taking her anger out on him because while she, I think, is in love with him, she's slowly starting to resent him and she's slowly starting to regret him. And I think the reason she's regretting him is because he's one of the reasons why their son was alive. And the fact that their son was alive and everything, she's really regretting. The fact that, you know, she feels like she's the blame for it all. She feels like, I don't even think she feels like she deserves to have a son. And even her, you know, cutting her clitoris, I think that's her ensuring that she doesn't have another kid because she does want to have another kid after what happened. It's just really crazy. And a lot of that stuff I thought was very well done. The way they went to the woods and even the acorns on the roof, just showing the tension in their marriage. The way they did that, I thought was so well done. It was such a good choice. I really did love that. It's just the witchcraft stuff, you know, the book, all that kind of stuff. The movie kind of started to turn to Evil Dead a little bit. That I just didn't really understand. I didn't really understand what the movie was trying to say there. I don't understand why she really turns why she's possessed and everything. That part of the movie, I just didn't understand. I don't really understand what they were trying to show, and I don't really understand how that fits into the whole movie. I do understand that the movie's about the horrors of tragedy and the horrors of marriage and showing how, you know, how one tragedy can just ruin everything. I think they showed that very well, and that's something I really love, and the dark tone of this movie is one of the best parts of it. It's just that specific part I didn't understand, and that's really the one thing that I will say with this movie, is that it just felt kind of style over substance. It felt like Lars Von Trier had a good idea there, it just didn't exactly make sense to me, and it did just kind of lost me there. But other than that, I really did love this movie, and I really think it was fantastic. Also, real quick, the ending of the movie, as we know, he ends up, you know, burning her corpse, and then he ends up, you know, eating those berries. I kind of saw it as he killed himself. He didn't feel he had a reason to live anymore because she was gone. Like I said, he took it upon himself to help her out. He felt like he failed, and he didn't help her at all, and I think he felt that since he didn't help her, he had to kill himself, and I think that was another really great choice the movie made. It's very sad, obviously, but I think it was a really good choice. It really just showed, I think, how far gone both of them were, and I think really was a great tragic ending to this really tragic movie. And like I said, this isn't like my official analysis. This is just me kind of being like, guys, you know, I watched this movie. This is what I got from it. Maybe it's right. Maybe it's wrong. Maybe I'm completely batshit like the characters in this movie. Maybe I'm just hallucinating things. But, you know, that's just how I feel about it. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe you guys can be a much better interpretation. I think, like I said, I'm definitely going to watch a second time. But right now, that is what I got from it. So overall, guys, I don't know if I can necessarily recommend this movie. I honestly don't. I think if you want to see a normal movie that, you know, has a beginning, a middle, and an end, this is not the movie for you. This is not one of those movies. I think you're going to walk away from this movie and you're going to be like, what the fuck did I just watch? It's one of those kind of movies. This can be a movie where you think you should watch while you're high, which I don't encourage that. Don't watch this movie while you're high. Don't watch this movie while you're drunk. This is a movie that I think you should focus very intently on. But if you're someone that really loves to just dissect movies and really think about what happens and really just get into, you know, the meat and potatoes of really what's going on, you know, if you will, then I would recommend this movie, definitely. I think it's definitely something that I would definitely check out. Like I said, there are just some things here that I just didn't understand, some things that did feel kind of style over substance to me, but because of how much I love the movie, because of how much how good the rest of the movie was, I am ended up giving Antichrist a 4.5 out of 5 or an A-. I overall really did love this movie. I think it's a fantastic fantastic portrayal of grief and what that can do to someone and the destruction of a marriage. It's very sad. It's definitely not your typical movie, but it is definitely something I recommend you check out. If you love movies, definitely check it out. It's not for everyone, but for me, definitely, like I said, I really did enjoy it. I expected it to be weird. I went into it. It's just some of the movie just lost me as it went along. But overall, guys, in my review of Antichrist, let me know what you guys thought of this movie. Have seen, left your thoughts in it. Like I said, I know a lot of you are probably going to turn away because you think this movie is very disturbing. I honestly would say give it a shot. Like I said, if you think you can handle this movie, then check it out. It's not an easy watch. It's really not an easy watch. There's a lot of stuff to deal with. There's a lot of heavy themes in this movie. This is not a popcorn movie by any means. In fact, if you watch this movie, please don't eat any food. Don't drink anything during it. It's not one of those kind of movies. But despite that, I do think you should check it out overall, you know, especially if you're, like I said, a fan of movies. If you want a regular movie, don't watch it. I recommend something else. Watch, like, one of the other classic movies are reviewed here, or even watch something like Pop Star, Never Stop, Never Stopping, you know, recent movie I reviewed. But overall, guys, if you have seen this movie, let me know what you guys thought of it. What do you think of my analysis? Like I said, not 100% sure on that, but I will see you guys in my next video, which will be for this week of Big Brother 17, Big Brother 18. I almost said 17, Big Brother 18, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.